Hi, welcome to Vision of Growth, the EDC's TV show with the Cox Network. I'm your host, Larry Sassano, and I'm the president of the Economic Development Council, and I have two special guests today. L. Norton from Lockheed Martin. L, welcome.
Thank you.
And J.R. McDonald, probably a familiar face with all of you from Lockheed Martin also.
Thanks, Larry.
L is the chief test pilot for the F-35 Lightning II program, Lockheed Martin Corporation. J.R., of course, is the vice president, corporate domestic business development, joint programs, Lockheed Martin Corporation. What a thrill to have both of you on the show today. As I said before we started taping, we've done a lot of shows, but this is one I'm probably the most excited about, to have the two of you on to talk about this program. I'd like to give our audience just a little background on L and, of course, J.R. L, of course, is a veteran Lockheed Martin experimental test pilot, chief test pilot, as I said, for the F-35 Lightning II program, which you see in front of you here. He left active duty and became an experimental test pilot for Lockheed Martin on the F-22 program at Edwards Air Force Base, California. And God, you've flown a lot of different planes, haven't you?
Yes, a few. Yeah.
T-50 program, over 6,000 hours of flying time and more than 70 different aircraft. That's incredible. So welcome again. And
thank you, Larry.
J.R., boy, look at this resume. This is, no. J.R., of course, we know well, and I have to point out first, J.R. is a 1981 graduate of Choctawhatchee High School in Fort Walton Beach.
Go Indians.
Go Indians. And, of course, running the program here in the whole region, director of the F-22 program at Lockheed Martin Washington Operations, where I understand that you met, Al.
Right, Al and I worked on the F-22 campaign. I was working the Washington piece, and Al was actually flying the airplane, and we worked very well together for a number of years.
Fantastic. But then let's get into the questions and the discussions about this great program and what these two gentlemen do in relation to the program. First, Al, why do we need the F-35?
Well, Larry, the F-35 brings some very unique capabilities to our fighting force and our partner country fighting force. First off, we term these airplanes as fifth-generation airplanes. And what we mean by that is we've taken elements of stealth, integrated sensor operation, sensor fusion, performance of a fighter that works like the best of the fourth-generation fighters, the F-15s, the F-16s, the F-18s. We've taken all that and combined it into one platform, one airplane. And we've not only done that in one airplane, but we've actually done it across three variants that are common in a sense, 75% common, so that the air forces of the world, our Marine Corps, or any force that needs a STOVL landing, a vertical landing type airplane, or naval forces that need to land on a carrier. We've created one airplane that does all these things. Getting back to fifth generation, it gives us the capability, a quantum leap in capability above and beyond what we have with an F-15 or F-16 because of those systems, the ability to not be seen, the ability to operate in an environment where we can dictate the tactics, where we can operate as we like to. And that's what these airplanes bring.
In layman's terms, what makes this particular plane, this generation plane, more superior to anything else that's in the air today?
Well, as I mentioned, you can see from looking at the airplane the way we've designed in the stealth from the beginning. You can take a look at the angles of the airplane, how we've lined everything up, how we make the airplane look, how we've created internal carriage for our weapons. The shape and the smoothness of the airplane, that all lends itself. Those are things that we've designed in from the beginning of this program to this airplane to make this airplane very hard to see. So the enemy has a very difficult time seeing us. At the same time, we've put extremely modern, state-of-the-art sensors into the airplane, a radar, an electro-optical targeting system that exists underneath the airplane, a DAS system of cameras all around the airplane that allow us to see outside day or night in any type of light or no light. We've combined all those things. We have the ability to link together with other aircraft to get information from other aircraft. and present it to us in the cockpit, we can take our information from our cockpit and present it to other people, whether they be on the ground or in the air, and combine all those things into one platform to allow the pilot then to basically dictate the airspace, understand with total situational awareness what's going on around him. And to a fighter pilot, that's kind of the name of the game. That's once we know what's going on around us, we can actually determine what we want to do. We can see an enemy before he sees us. Excellent. We can shoot an enemy before he sees us. We can kill an enemy before he sees us. So just from that, it becomes a game changer in the sense of what does it bring, and what types of capabilities does it allow us as a nation and our partner nations to have.
JR, in terms of the economic impact, can you address that with these three models you have in front of us?
Well, the economic impact to Okaloosa County and to the Emerald Coast is pretty obvious. We've got 3,000 people out at the base right now that support the F-35 program. Significant amount of military construction has come into the area to support the airplane. And this is a long-term program. We're going to be bringing students in to be maintainers and pilots for years and years. So this isn't something that's a one-hit wonder economically in the county, but something that will sustain it and drive continued economic development through many years here at Okaloosa.
Yeah, that impact is just going to continue.
Absolutely.
To add value to the area here. Well, let's go back to you about the capabilities that you've outlined are unique, and you've flown the F-22 as well. And I know, JR, you were involved with that program, as Jeff Reamer was. And this is, going to be the future. What's the longevity expectation of this particular plane as compared to the F-16, F-15, F-18?
Well, Larry, as we talked already, the fourth generation, the legacy fighters, as we'll call them, F-15, F-16, they're kind of towards the end of their lifespan in the sense that we've added capability, we've done things, we've allowed them to grow and be with us for a long time, but we've kind of put everything on them we can. We've kind of gotten everything out of them, or just about everything out of them. We changed the F-15 a little bit, we made an F-15E. We changed the F-16 a little bit, added capabilities, added tanks, added sensors, added things that we keep hanging on the airplane, but eventually we're kind of running out of where we need to go. What we need to do, and what we are doing is, with both the F-22 and the F-35, is we've created an aircraft now, like I said, that's hard to see, but we have all these capabilities built into the system, things that we were adding to the other airplanes. So now, in fact, I like to think of the F-35 as a weapon system platform, and one that gives the services unique flexibility and unique ability to adapt and grow for decades and decades to come.
The little pilots in here, the helmets. I remember when we had the orientation that JR invited us to several months ago. What was unique about these helmets once you put that on?
Yeah. The hardest thing about these helmets on these little pilots is just their size. It's hard to get those to be so little. But the helmets that we are using are state-of-the-art in the sense that for the first time I've flown an airplane that is a fighter-type airplane. Now we're without what we call a HUD, a heads-up display, a combining glass in front of us. Yeah. We've created a helmet that kind of incorporates things that we use in a piecemeal basis on other airplanes, that we've now taken the HUD imagery and put it on our visor in our helmet. Mm-hmm. We've taken the imagery from what we would normally use as night vision goggles and actually have that built in and into the helmet. We can see imagery from those 6 cameras that I was talking about that stare out into space around the aircraft, and now we can project that onto our helmet. So while we look around in pure darkness, we actually see what amounts to daylight, and we can look around and even through the aircraft because of this helmet. So it's a very unusual situation. It also, I liken it to kind of the movie Avatar in the sense we have a cable that comes out the back of our airplane, and we plug ourselves into the beast, just like in Avatar. So we become more one with the aircraft, and the F-35, you definitely start to get a feeling that from the way that we interact with the airplane, we're more in tune, more in touch with the aircraft and the weapon system than we have been with previous airplanes.
Just a layman's question, but when you first started testing these planes and you put that helmet on, you can see through the plane. Did that give you any jitteries about being able to see through?
Yeah, it's I was leery at first, but so far so good. We're we don't use it when we're real close to something to look right through the airplane, but we do use it for, as I said, telling what's right and wrong, what's up and down, and kind of in general where the world is. So it's a very good system, and it gives us a 360-degree spherical view of the world.
Incredible. JR, could you comment on the domestic suppliers associated with Lockheed on this project?
Well, the domestic suppliers are very similar to the F-22 program. We've got over 1,000 suppliers across the country. The interesting piece, though, is that we also have a lot of international suppliers on this. We've got 9 partners that have come along from the beginning in this program, and we get partner suppliers and domestic suppliers work their way onto this airplane in what we call kind of a best athlete. Whoever provides the best value gets to be part of the program. And fortunately, in the United States, we still do a very good job of providing best value, and our more than 1,000 suppliers are doing a good job staying part of the program.
But it's fascinating that you have 1,000 different suppliers. That's a lot. I don't know if that's a lot for a sophisticated plane like this, but those parts all, once they come to Fort Worth, have to be matched up perfectly. How is that achieved without any major problem?
It's one of the truly what word am I looking for here? It's one of the best parts of the program. It's something we call the digital thread that goes through the program. Yeah. So anytime any change is made on the airplane, it instantly is made throughout all the suppliers. So if something changes size just a little bit, then that information is transmitted throughout all the suppliers. So lots of suppliers all over, but when it comes to Fort Worth in final assembly, it's absolutely amazing that those pieces come together and fit perfectly the first time. The tolerances in the first airplanes that came down the line were absolutely amazing. We've got all different parts of a fuel tank, for instance, that all come together and they get put together the first time and they pressurize it, and there's no leak. So if you can imagine the engineering and manufacturing tolerances that are required to make that happen through 1,000 suppliers because of this digital thread, it's absolutely amazing.
Makes you really appreciate, that a program like that makes a plane like this as perfect as you want it to be. So, Al, let's get back to you and talk about the flight testing and production. When you first became the test pilot for this, I'm sure you were very excited, but did you have to go through the simulators just like the other pilots presently will be doing?
Yes, Larry. As a matter of fact, part of our training that we've been trying to utilize is as Eglin has started to work into the program and started to stand up their training facilities here, one of the best resources that we have for helping our test pilots learn about the airplane is to actually come here to Eglin and utilize the information that's starting to flow throughout this base as the big training base for the program. I mean, this will be the learning center, the training center for everybody. What we've done as test pilots is we've tried to flow information back and forth through Eglin. So things that we learn in flight test we bring here, and things that Eglin is learning about teaching the airplane, they give back to us. So we flow back and forth with that information. So we grow not only as a test community, but as a full F-35 community.
How many simulators are presently at Eglin?
We've got 3 installed right now, a 4th one coming soon. We'll probably get 8 full mission simulators here, which are the big domes. The facility can hold 10, but we're going to size it to 8 right now, and then if we expand beyond that, we'll put more simulators in.
How many F-35s are presently here?
Well, this is an exciting time in Okaloosa County, the Emerald Coast, and especially for the men and women of the 33rd Fighter Wing, because our first airplane showed up in July. And since then, we've gotten 5 more, so for a total of 6 airplanes here. I tell the men and women of the 33rd and Colonel Toth, the wing commander, he gets to have Christmas a couple times a month right now as these airplanes show up. And the excitement is there every time an airplane comes in. So we've got 6 A models there now, and that's all we'll get for this year. And the A model is the Air Force version, conventional takeoff and landing, lands on a normal field. And the next big excitement for us is that we expect our first B model to show up here by the end of the year. Excellent. So we'll have 7 before the year's over.
Wow.
Yeah, Larry, actually, a very exciting time. Just yesterday, our first U.S. Marine Corps pilot from Eglin Air Force Base flew the very first production B model for part of the government acceptance flights at Fort Worth. So we finished our contractor acceptance flights on the airplane, and right now, one of the Eglin pilots is at Fort Worth flying the first B model that'll show up here later in the year.
And he'll be the one who actually ferries that airplane here to Eglin.
So he's already gone through the simulator training so far?
Yes. So very experienced. He happens to be a test pilot, but he's also part of the first initial cadre here at Eglin to start training the other pilots.
Exciting. JR, how about the international partners involved in this program? Can you address that?
Well, we talked about that there are 8 partners with us, and then there's also the opportunity to sell to people outside of that partnership, people we call foreign military sales customers. And we don't know exactly what that footprint will look like from the international perspective here at Eglin. We have a pretty good idea that most of the maintenance training will happen at Eglin for all 3 services, for the U.S. and the international maintainers, because that's kind of what we designed here at Eglin. We don't know yet how the pilot training is going to work out, because as each individual partner country and each individual foreign military sales customer negotiates a contract, they'll be able to sort of pick and choose how they want to do their training, whether it's at Eglin, other bases in the U.S., or maybe even at their home location. So we don't know exactly how that's going to work for the flying piece.
So you said the maintenance for these will be done and is being done at Eglin?
Yes, the academic training center and the maintenance training that's going to happen here is sized such that we can train up to 2,200 maintainers a year. And that would be from all 3 services and the internationals.
So that was in the original plan anyway, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because we don't necessarily always address the maintenance of the plane, but you know, I remember that initially was part of the plan. It's nice to make note of that.
Well, the pilots get all the glory, but at full production, we're going to train 100 pilots a year, and like I said, 2,200 maintainers a year. So maintenance training is a huge part of the program.
Yeah, we just get the very tail end fun part of the deal by sitting with our little helmet in the cockpit, but it takes a cast of thousands literally to get us airborne and keep us flying, and the maintainers are invaluable to everything that we do.
Now, can you talk again about the Marine version here that was just recently tested on the USS Wasp?
Sure, Larry. We just finished up last month. We finished up our initial sea trials of the B model, and this is the Marine Corps variant. As you can see, the airplane itself is shaped just like the A model. The outer mold line of the airplane is the same, with the exception of we've replaced a fuel tank in the A model and put a lift fan engine in the front of this airplane. So this airplane now, with the push of a button in the cockpit, and that's all it takes, converts itself. And actually, I'll use another movie reference, but I truly feel when I sit in the airplane and all the doors start opening and this engine in the back twists around and comes down.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm in a Transformer movie. Yes, that's exactly. So there's my Avatar and Transformer reference. But what ends up happening is that we've made this STOVL world, this vertical landing, short takeoff world that was very difficult to do for pilots in previous airplanes, a very simple task for anybody of any background, Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy. We, from the test pilot community, all of us are going to be doing this kind of testing and flying. So it's an amazing feat that we've done engineering-wise to create an airplane that can do this and do it in a sense that's seamless to the pilot, that's intuitive to the pilot. What we found on the Wasp was that we did 72 short takeoffs and 72 vertical landings, and really didn't have any hitch in what was going on. We took 2 airplanes, 4 pilots, and worked at sea for a couple weeks out on the boat.
When you have to get in one of these models, as you have with various other planes you've flown, how much different is it for you to land on a carrier as opposed to landing on a landing strip?
Well, for me, I'm Air Force background, as you said, so I have yet to land on a carrier, and I'm not sure if I'm going to land on a carrier. But we do have very, very experienced pilots that have a multitude of hours and time and traps and catapult launches on the carrier. You know, we talked about the B model. One of the other amazing things that we've done already this year was the initial catapult testing of the airplane. So we've taken the C model variant and done quite a few catapult launches already with the airplane on land, but in preparation for doing that at sea. So from what my pilots are telling me about the handling qualities coming into a boat, it's very good so far.
Are we going to expect arrival next year of some of the B models?
Of the B models, for sure.
Yeah.
The Navy variant, the
Navy
C
variant.
model, maybe towards the end of next year or the beginning of 13, we think we'll probably see those here.
Okay. So, because Eglin is now becoming an, how should I say, collaborative, integrated base.
Joint
Base, that's
Yeah.
correct.
And so this is a good introduction to letting the world know that, you know, what this base contains in terms of the different services and programs. But I want to get back to the impact a little bit. Well, I think that's important for the audience to understand that even after the 59 planes are here, that economic impact continues to grow in this community.
It does. It grows in the community and it grows in the state. We have over 8,000 people across the state of Florida that participate in the F-35 program. Our GTL, Global Training and Logistics business area for Lockheed Martin, is based in Orlando. Yeah. And they do all the training systems for the airplane. So all the maintenance training devices, they write the software, they write the courseware, they work with the simulators. So it's not just the local impact, but it's also statewide impact that's pretty significant. Yeah. It's actually billions of dollars across the state that the program is responsible for.
You have approximately how many Lockheed Martin employees in our area right now?
Direct employees for the F-35 on base right now is in the neighborhood of about 300, and that's kind of where we'll stay as we build up airplanes. The Air Force and the Navy and the Marine Corps will continue to get more people in as more airplanes show up, and we're sort of the core cadre that will then help them learn to take care of the airplanes. Right now, what's called contractor logistics support. So we're primarily maintaining the airplane, and then as we teach the maintainers from the three services, they'll start picking up a larger and larger role, so their numbers will increase.
Okay, so the 2011, you have 3,000 you mentioned at the base that are associated with the program, so a lot of indirect employment there, both military and civilian. What are your projections for full build out of this?
You know, that's a government decision how many people they want to bring in here. I think that's probably a pretty good round number for how it'll work as it ebbs and flows between contractor buildup and then the military side. But remember, when you say 3,000 people, that's usually 3,000 heads of households or parts of families. So you can multiply that by 3 or 4 for how many people are actually flowing into the area.
Yeah, I love that economic generator. That's
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, we only have about less than 4 minutes, so I'd like to maybe go back to Elle and just wrap up maybe something I didn't touch upon that you'd like to highlight about this program and you know, Chief Test Pilot. This is cool.
Well, Larry, thanks. For me, this is fun. This is the pinnacle of my career, is doing and being a part and working with all the people that we've talked about and discussed, and having a hand in helping make this airplane come to fruition. But you know, you asked a question earlier about kind of what does this mean for the future and the next few decades and things like that. You know, if I look at these things, what I see is a complete engineering marvel that's occurred, and being inside the cockpit, I can tell you that it's an engineering marvel, and it's designed not for the old guys, the old pilots and stuff. It's designed for the new kids coming through, and it's made by this generation and the future generations, and that's how this thing's going to grow. You know, when I fly airplanes, we were actually talking about it last night. When I fly airplanes, it's math in motion. You know, it's the mathematics and all the things I learned in school that I actually get to feel and see and do. And you know, I hope when these airplanes are all here at Eglin and it's an everyday occurrence to sit on the beach and watch a 4-ship of these come by and going back to the base, that's going to inspire you know, the next generation of design and pilots and maintainers and everybody. Because I think that's what happened to us.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we saw those kinds of things happen in our generation, and this is really, you know, this is the future. This is where it is.
Absolutely. JR, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Well, exactly what I was just talking about. There's no better example of math in motion than watching an airplane fly. And when Alexis Tibbetts, our county school superintendent, talks about STEM as important, I can't think of a better way to excite kids about learning science, technology, engineering, and math than understanding that that was what brought us to this point. And if you don't have that background, we're never going to take the next step to whatever comes after these 3 airplanes.
Yeah, continued education and technology development. Firsthand, these young students, we all have children, learn, they can see it, they can experience, they can talk to the experts, you know, the pilots and yourself, you know, and I think that's exciting in our community just to have that. That's just another aspect of how important this program is to the United States, but especially to our area here.
Absolutely.
So, God, I told you that time would go by fast.
We'll have to bring Al back.
That's right, absolutely. Al Norton, this is the Chief Test Pilot, F-35 Lightning II program. Thank you so much from Lockheed Martin. J.R. McDonald, we love you, and you've been a great asset to this community. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for bringing Al with you this time, and hope to have you again on our show, so thank you.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this. This was a great show. I enjoyed it. I hope you did, and thank you for inviting us into your living room and sharing information from Al and JR about this program. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and again, thanks to Cox for allowing us to be part of this program. Thank you.